ta abawo bogont ta an webeteng ta an wabagas ta an wabenglis pasogi tigit tin Cameroon ta somom pititi babese ana titingenin hanoguna titingenu anagaigi tongiaski tanago busio numobe.
Je suis Eric Christian Kwam. J'aime mon pays, le Cameroun, et j'en suis fier. Je dis non à la violence, non au tribalisme, non à la manipulation.
Ensemble, main dans la main, pour préserver l'unité de notre cher et beau pays, le Cameroun.
C'est un message de Royal FM, la radio des auditeurs.
Yellow, il est 14h.
Ayoba, l'application tout en un pour chatter, appeler, lire, jouer, payer et écouter de la musique. Utilisez Ayoba sans consommer vos data avec MTN. Téléchargez Ayoba maintenant.
Subscribe to Maso Gold. Maso Gold, conceived for the total fulfillment of all and sundry.
The 2Pm Newscast
with ABEL BELA SAMARI.
Good afternoon, blessed people. It is Thursday, July the 27th, 2023. It is the 2 p.m. newscast. It is Royal Afternoon Edition. We take you to our list stories. President Paul Biya decreased state burial for former Social Democratic Front's SDF party chairman Neil John Fundi and Cameroonians say.
I personally think it's a good move. Frundi, being a statesman and a very important one for that matter, being given a state burial declared by the President of the Republic is a good move and it's a step towards the right direction. It accords him the respect he deserves and the honor.
Details in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. And coming up in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast, we'll talk about the raffle draw ceremony organized by MASO, the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity, offered by Renapo Finance SA in the town of Bafoussam as part of MASO Act 3 with Erato Sunduye. And in sports, Evans William Jobati will be taking us in the world of sports, where we have the opportunity to talk about the Interpol that is in football. Stay tuned for these and more. Good afternoon once again. My name is ABEL BELA SAMARI. We will open our newscast to talk about the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO. Joy and transformation is yet to cease from the overflow that comes with the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO Act 3, as many mutualists have this day been raffled out as beneficiaries of lots of offers from the Renapo Finance SA in the town of Bafoussam. This was during the raffle draw ceremony, which took place yesterday in that parts of the country after the apotheosis or the event that took place at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. Eratus Nduye, you tell us more.
Proceeding in its Act 3 of the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity in the central town of Bafoussam, West region of Cameroon, in an open air, the raffle draw ceremony of MASO Act 3 charmed many mutualists and onlookers who came to see and witness the good deed of MASO. Melong Jessica and Mohamedou are beneficiary of financial projects.
It is a feeling of joy and satisfaction that I feel right now. As I am one of the beneficiaries, I promise to introduce many who wish to invest also.
I'm so glad there were a lot of people, but God was with me. I will use this money to boost my activity as planned.
Aside financial offers, many mutualists who solicit for house equipment, machines, and what have you weren't left out from the oozing blessing of Maso.
I thank Renapro for all they are doing and pray God to help us to be able to refund the money in due time.
As the effervescence of the ceremony got to its peak, a handful of happy winners left the area with their car keys and tricycle flying above their heads as they danced to the rhythm of joy.
I postulated for a tricycle, and now that I have it, I believe it will help me to buy my brakes.
I'm happy to be raffled among so many mutualists. As I want this vehicle, I will use it in accordance to the rules prescribed. As for the contributions, I will do it and feed my family. I thank Renapro for the opportunity.
That said, as this lucky winner from Bafusam start thinking on how to adjust their living standard, the Group Renapro Finance SA is as well planning on how they will through the next round in the days ahead.
Eratus Nduye in that report. And just to add to your story, Eratus, that registration and contribution for Maso Act 4 is ongoing. Just rush to Renapro Finance SA agency. We have 27 of those agencies in Cameroon, 13 of them in the capital city, Yaoundé. Or you meet us here at the video house, Royal FM, situated at Kame, beside the bus stop to the University of Yaoundé Toussoa. We'll talk politics in this edition of our newscast to say first the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul and wife, Mrs. Chantabia, in St. Petersburg in Russia, where the second edition of the African-Russia Summit kicks off today. Topping of the agenda will be on cooperation ties between Russia and Africa, economic and security issues, as well as technology and humanitarian concern will be a point of discussion. Now, looking at the participation of President Charles Kopo in this summit, Onjementa cornered an internationalists for details of their participation on that report.
The internationalist Dr. Aban Kalistos begins by outlining the stakes linked with this Russia-African summit.
One should know that international relations are about interest. National interest we are talking about here. I'm talking about national interest. We are looking at what Cameroon stands to gain if it maintains the Russo-Cameroonian relation, which have been so fruitful for some decades today. You must understand that when this Anglophone crisis started and the Boko Haram incursion, Russia was one of those nations who stood by Cameroon to provide Cameroon with military equipment to fight against these attacks.
But how far will this deal between Cameroon and Russia affect other foreign countries? Dr. Aban Kalistos once more.
We should equally acknowledge the fact that in international politics we don't have enemies, but we have interests. So, irrespective of the fact that it will affect this relation, but to me, I think that this effect will just be at the superficial or lead position point of view, because there will be no country that you turn from the Western world that will come destroy all the huge investment they have in Cameroon. It may just affect them just from the facial point of view.
And to find out what Cameroon stands to gain from this Russia-Africa summit, Dr. Aban Kalistos once more.
How this summit is organized, there are usually partnership accord signed, resolutions that are taken in favor of the development of Africa. So Cameroon is going to attend this summit with a sack full of diplomatic aspiration that if yielded to, it will go a long way to awaken the dying economy. It will go a long way.
Going by these internationalists, Cameroon has more to gain in collaborating with Russia.
In that report, and to better understand the stakes of this Africa-Russia summit that is taking place in St. Petersburg, our own Christian Mando Corner, an economist, compile his view in the following report.
Cameroon being an economy investment destination in the CEMAC sub-regions, the economist Chabi Pro to start by giving out what should be the president's objectives in this summit and its stakes as well.
The head of state should represent the country in this economic summit with the objective to showcase and to sell the potentials that Cameroon possesses. Other African countries will be present. Everything being equal, this will permit foreign investors to be aware about the various potentials that we have in Cameroon.
While analyzing the interest of this Russian-African meeting, the expert says measures have to be taken at the level of Cameroon.
While attracting and encouraging foreign investors to invest in Cameroon, measures should be taken in order to protect infant industries in Cameroon, because we have many enterprises that are still at the infant stage and they need to be protected so that they can grow. They cannot withstand the stiff competition from well-established foreign enterprises.
For the economist Chene Constantine, Cameroon will not really gain much in this summit, as he explained.
Russia is actually our aid trading partner in terms of our imports, but we export very little to Russia. I think that the Russian-African Summit is more of social and political, whereby some countries are trying to use their connections with Russia to prevent instability in their countries. We know that Russia is a country that has a Wagner group that is very operational in some countries in Africa.
Worth noting that this two-day summit will table on the economic and technological issues amongst others.
Solange Christemando in that report. Back home, the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, before leaving for Russia, signed a decree yesterday, July the 26th, 2023, revealing a state of burial in honor of the late chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Ni John Fundi. The President, in his decree, acknowledged the work of the deceased chairman of the main opposition political party in Cameroon. And the burial ceremony that starts today will wrap up on Saturday in his home village of Babatu, Mezam division of the northwest region of Cameroon. Some Cameroonians have expressed their feelings towards the gesture from the President of the Republic. As student journalist on internship Gloria Ngange cornered some of them and compiled their reaction in the following report.
Most Cameroonians say the late chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Ni John Fundi, was a man of great impact. Therefore, he deserves the state burial.
I think this state burial that has been organized by the head of state for the late Ni John Fundi is a great idea. For someone who had impact in the country like him, I think he merits this burial.
Sandra Tombo says the gesture from the president is a good way of saying goodbye and letting the great man know that he has left good legacies behind.
In my opinion, the degree signed by the head of state is a great idea because it's going to be the last time the people of Cameroon will be seeing him before he joins his ancestors in the land of the dead. And someone like him who did great things while he was still alive, it is a good way of bidding him farewell, and it's also a nice way of telling him that he achieved something great while he was alive.
As well, Brenda Lumto expresses her happiness and says late Mr. Ni John Fundi was a great man to whom honor and respect is due.
I'm really happy about the decision because Mr. Ni John Fundi was really a good person. He needs to be respected. He needs to be honored. So the decision taken by the president is really a good decision.
The late founder and the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Ni John Fundi, is an iconic English-speaking Cameroonian who will be respected even in death.
SDF militants have been reacting to the presidential decree signed by the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, setting a state burial to the opposition icon Ni John Fundi. A reporter, Jementa, caught up with one of the militants of the SDF party who happens to be the Yaoundé 5 communications secretary in the person of Wumi Bertrand to find out from him in line with the presidential decree.
The head of state, before leaving Cameroon for Russia, signed a decree granting His Excellency Nijon Fundi a state burial. And I think it's a very good thing for the head of state to grant such burial to he who has fought for democracy in this Cameroon. And I think he was the pioneer. He is referred to as the father of democracy. I mean Nijon Fundi, because he fought against this brutal regime of Paul Biya. I think it's a good thing, but my reservation comes to the fact that he was supposed to have implicated the state more. He was supposed to implicate himself more, because John Fundi is not only the president or the chairman of the SDF, but he is an icon in Cameroon. So I think that in normal countries, in great democracies, the head of state actually pays his tribute. He goes to the corpse removal. He goes through the various ceremonies that are going to be carried out until His Excellency Nijon Fundi is buried. But how? You know, he is a president. I mean, President Biya is a president so full of himself. He doesn't care much. The only thing he could say is to grant a state burial, and I say it is too little.
Apart from militants of the SDF party who has been reacting towards the presidential decree, other political parties in Cameroon have equally been reacting to the state burial in honor of late Nijon Fundi. Former chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Finwi Crispin, gathered their reaction in the following report.
Majority of the political actors we had all appreciated the head of state's move announcing a state burial for late Nijon Fundi. Jones Viban is militant of the Popular Action Party.
And a political actor who was patriotic, who loved his country, and who was a big political figure. Giving him official burials was really a very good decision from the head of state.
Similarly, Ekani Otu of the Cameroon Democratic Front Party says it is but normal that the head of state should sign such a decree, given that we are in a democratic state.
The late chairman played a fundamental role in Cameroon's political history after the return to a multi-party system. Like him or not, he inspired many people and worked to consolidate Cameroon's democratic model. As a political leader,
Cameroonians in general and the political family in particular are therefore looking forward to paying homage to the late SDF hero.
We stay in politics. This time we'll talk about the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM party, where it has organized a press conference today in Yaoundé. The exchange between pressmen and women is taking place at the party headquarters in Oja neighborhood here in Yaoundé, where our reporter Mapala Zita is online with details. Let us find out from you, Mapala Zita. Good afternoon to you. What is the situation out there at the press conference?
Good afternoon to you, Abel. Here at the headquarters of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM party, the ongoing press conference began with a minute of silence in honor of the memory of the late SDF chairman Nijon Fundi. The president of the CRM party, Professor Maurice Kamto, then stressed on the theme of today's press conference, which is the respect of the electoral calendar in Cameroon. The high point is also the announcement made by Professor Maurice Kamto that his party will take part in the 2025 legislative and municipal elections, saying that the party is ready and will be present in all electoral battles, that is, at the National Assembly, the Senate, and even the presidency. Worth noting that this call for the respect of the electoral calendar in Cameroon comes against the backdrop of the habit of postponing elections in the country. Taking the example of neighboring Nigeria, where presidential, senatorial, and parliamentary elections held same time earlier this year, and barely 2 weeks later, governors' elections were also held. The professor stressed that Cameroon can also do same because postponing an election is more costly to the state than organizing it in strict respect of the electoral calendar. The CRM party still holds on to their position that the party won the 2018 presidential elections, and despite critics from the state and other detractors of the party, they master their political strategy and are ready even if elections were to be organized today. Professor Maurice Kamto, however, emphasized that on whatever is going on within the party and some of its militants or ex-militants, the party will clarify the public in due time. Reporting from the CRM Party House in Oja, I am Mapala Zita for Royal Afternoon Edition.
And indeed, you are listening to Royal Afternoon Edition, coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. And still to come in this newscast, we'll talk about strike action taking place at the Ministry of Finance. But what is the reason for this strike action?
We're not going back anywhere. We must receive the money, and until we receive that money, we are not going.
We'll talk health in this edition to say an enabling breastfeeding, making a difference for working parents is the theme under which Cameroon will celebrate the 31st edition of World Breastfeeding Week, which begins as from August the 1st to the 7th, 2023. In prelude to the day, the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Madaoda Malashi, will chair as from 2:30 p.m. today at the Esplanade of the Yaoundé 4 Council Center, an official ceremony marking the World Breastfeeding Week. We take you to our human interest stories to say more than 400 former workers of the Douala Naval Base have since yesterday, July the 26th, 2023, been striking at the entrance of the Ministry of Finance. The workers of the firm are requesting that their remuneration on social rights be paid in full as promised since 2011. Speaking with one of the delegates, he tells us the reason for their strike through the microphone of our student journalists on internship here at Royal FM. Mendomo Erica.
We had a situation with our company since 2011 where the government disbursed about 4 billion francs for our payment of rights because we were all temporary workers and we were put out of the company. Right. So a part of that money was paid, and they discovered that there was mismanagement of funds. So 2.6 billion was still remaining. We have been coming to Yaoundé from time to time to strike so that the government and the head of state can put an end to it. During those periods, the Prime Minister, who is the head of government, to calm down the situation, appointed a committee that the governor of the littoral was the head of the committee, and they came out with 1 billion francs CFA to calm down us before doing investigation about the 2.6 billion that was remaining. So that decision was signed in 2019 by the Prime Minister, the head of government. And the decision has come to the Ministry of Finance, and the Director of Budget is asking us to bring the decision. How is it possible that a Prime Minister will give a decision for our money to be paid, and the Director of Budget is asking us to bring the decision, which is not fair? And that's why we have come here, because we have come here time and again. They have treated the documents and they give us an appointment to come and take our money. While we come, the Director of Budget is still asking us about the decision.
Tikum Fred goes further to explain to our reporters that if their money is not paid, they take a permanent resident at the Ministry of Finance.
We have decided to be here until our money is being paid. We're not going back anywhere. The PRIM, the bond separation that the head of government has signed to be paid to others 1 billion while they are working on the 2.6 billion. So that's what we have come to receive. So we must receive the money. Anything they need, they know the government, the head of government with the Prime Minister, they can ask it from him, not from us. We have come to receive our money. And until we receive that money, we are not going back.
We'll take you to this other human interest story. A ghastly road accident at scale to 2 persons at the Don Bosco neighborhood here, Mimboma neighborhood here in Yaoundé. We get details with our student journalists on internship. Our Suru in the following report.
The van lost its brake as it descends Chateau Mimboman and found itself on the other side of Neptune Station at Carrefour Don Bosco. According to reports, the truck separated into two and the cabin detached from the rear part of the vehicle. The driver dies on the spot, and his body is literally shattered. While the motorboy was still conscious and was being taken to the hospital by the sappers. On the way to the hospital, the young boy gives up and was taken back to the tragic scene in order to identify them before starting any procedure. Law enforcement and firefighters were still on the scene, trying to maintain security as they await the family of the departed.
We'll take you out of the country. First stop in Niger, where Niger President Mohamed Bazoum has issued a defiant message on Twitter after soldiers announced a coup overnight in the West African nation. Trouble began early on Wednesday when troops from the presidential guard took him captive. His foreign minister has said the takeover does not have the backing of the whole military, but the army chief of staff has now said she's back the junta. Mr. Bazoum is a key Western ally in the fight against Islamic militants. The US and France both have military bases in the uranium-rich country and have condemned the coup. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken called up Mr. Bazoum, promising Washington's unwavering support, and the UN and the European Union have all called for the president's immediate release. The 64-year-old who was elected Niger president 2 years ago took to Twitter on Thursday morning to say that the hard-won achievement will be safeguarded. All Nigerians who love democracy and freedom will see to it. The capital Niamey is currently deserted, but this is largely because it has been raining heavily all morning. Even a march plan by those who supported the takeover has not taken place because of the heavy downpour. But people in Niger are sharply divided about the tens of events happening in their nation. Some are shocked and upset, while others, it will underway on Wednesday. Hundreds of presidential supporters defied the soldiers to go out to the street and call for the military to return to their barracks. They displaced after warning shots were fired on the air. The only gunfire heard in this bloodless seizure of power. They have said they will not accept the coup, but it is not clear how they will oppose this call. We'll stay out of the country to say the Nigerian Senate has rejected a motion by Southeastern Region senators for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the separatist indigenous people of the Biafra. Imo West Senators Osita Izuzu, who moved the motion, said setting Mr. Kanu free will end the sit-and-home order enforced in the region by government. When people are forced to stay at home and businesses remain closed, productivity decline and income is reduced, affecting the livelihood and the economic growth of the people, Mr. Senator Osuta added. However, the Senate rejects the plea from the Southeastern lawmaker and instead asks the federal government to ensure those who enforce the order are arrested. Unknown gunmen have been enforcing sit-at-home directive every Monday since August 2021 to ask for the release of the Nigerian separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu, who still stay out of the country. To say Tunisian authorities says hundreds of migrants have drowned off its coast in the first half of the year. Exact figures varies, with Rosters reporting that 901 bodies have been recovered from January to the 20th of July 2023, while separate sources told the AFP that the number stands at 789. We'll come back to Talk Sport. And in sports, let's welcome Evans William Jobati in our studios. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Abel.
We begin with football as the semi-final matches of the 2023 National Interpose will be played today as from 3 p.m.
Two vital matches will be played today in Yaoundé as from 3 p.m. to mark the semi-final phase of the 2023 National Interpose into Elite 2 Division next season. The Ngwaikele Military Stadium will host Bafmen United of Menchum against Volcan of Noon. Ahead of the encounter, we got the encouragement of some Northwest regional supporters who gave their wishes.
It's no surprise at all. Bafmen United have a very experienced squad. Looking at the players, especially the coach.
This is Kang Eric talking from Bafmen. Bafmen United is going to bring us not only the Elite 2 ticket, they are going to bring us the National Interpol Trophy.
I am Kumlis, a die-hard supporter of Bafmen United. I am personally proud of the team and looking forward for their qualification to the finals and bringing the National Interpol's Cup home. Bufa, oh yeah, I had.
Same time at the Ahmadu Ahijo Annex 1 Stadium, ISS of Hope Sports Academy, Isosa of Limbe, will be opposed to literal champions Puma Football Club. We equally received the fans from Isosa who passed their support to their team. Let's hear them.
For me, I'm confident in Isosa because from their previous matches, they have won 2 and draw 2. It's not easy for you to go into a competition and you have not lose a game. Isosa is a team that is determined to win and bring victory to us.
Isosa is going to bring back the Elite 2 championship in the Southwest region. Isosa, oh yeah, I am very confident and proud.
They have not lost any match. My impressions are very, very positive. Immediately, they emerged champion as concerned the Southwest Mini Interpol. My hope is very high that they will qualify.
Isosa, I'm strongly behind you guys. You can do it.
You stay with me, Evans William Jobati, as we talk Savat Box, to tell you that today is the official launching of the African Savat Championship, which is taking place here in Yaoundé, precisely at the Fandena Gymnasium.
ABEL, there are over 10 African countries to be participating in this year's French boxing, popularly known as Savat Championship in Yaoundé. The 26th edition of the event will last for 5 days with 35 athletes from Team Cameroon to defend the country, with the official launching to be presided by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Nassis Muel Ekombi. In some hours, we got in touch with the Director of Competitions, who speaks through the microphone of Eratuzntwe.
My name is Gonte Paulette, the official director of the Savat Federation. Our disposal, according to this African Championship, is well prepared. All our officials and referees are ready, and we are going to have a nice championship for us to attend all the meetings that are going to be held and to save the way of the athletes and all the members who are going to be present, for us to have no request at the end of any meeting of the athletes. So we all are ready to have a nice African Championship for our guests to run back and to be satisfied.
Thank you very much, Evans William Jobati, for our Thursday Sport Fight. As you unseat yourself, let's welcome Olivier Ndema Epo, who is here with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ebel. Mutuelle d'assistance et de solidarité Masso, le tirage au sort des bénéficiaires de l'acte 3 se poursuit dans les agences Renaprouve Finance situées hors de la ville de Yaoundé. Après la ville des Écarts dans le département du Nord-Ekele, c'était au tour de l'agence Renaprouve de Bafoussam de procéder hier au tirage au sort de nombreux lots de la Masso. Ni John Frundi aura droit à des obsèques officielles à Baba 2, son village natal, situé dans la région du Nord-Ouest. Le président de la République, Paul Biya, en a signé le décret le 26 juillet dernier. Ni John Frundi, leader de l'un des principaux partis politiques de l'opposition au Cameroun, est décédé des suites de maladie le 12 juin 2023 à l'âge de 81 ans. Hors de nos frontières, au Niger, l'armée affirme avoir renversé le président de la République, Mohamed Bazoum. Dans la nuit du 26 au 27 juillet, des militaires ont pris le pouvoir et retenu le chef de l'État dans sa résidence. L'armée, par l'entreprise du colonel Amadou Abdraman, a également annoncé la création d'un Conseil national de sauvegarde de la patrie, c'est le CNSP. Et en sport, Interpol 2023, les demi-finales se disputent ce jour à Yaoundé. Au menu, 2 affiches, Bafmen United du Nord-Ouest contre Volcan de l'Ouest et Isosa du Sud-Ouest contre Puma FC du Littoral. Les vainqueurs de ces rencontres disputeront le championnat d'élite tout 2023-2024. Les Interpol 2023 qui ont débuté le 15 du mois de juillet s'achèvent le 30 juillet.
And it is with that summary in the French language that we wrap up this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. The team keeping you company, we have Rimele Kume, our sound engineer, plus our copyright clerk. We have Jean-Marie Otto, our video editor, on our Facebook/YouTube page, We Are FM Cameroon. The news was produced by Finwick Crispin, assisted by our student journalist on internship, Erica Mendomo. News edited by Gementa. Coordination was done by our own Director General, Jean-Paul Antala. General supervision was ensured by Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noy. For presentation and editorial coaching, my name is ABEL Bela Samari. Stay tuned to good music at 3 p.m. Don't miss Orifel Actu with Roger Kiak de Kiki. Stay blessed.